Welcome to Pre-Snap Podcast, presented by LineStar app. Here's your host, Casey Bubba and Scott Bogman.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Pre-Snap Podcast, brought to you by the wonderful people at LineStar Sports. Make sure you check them out on the old Twitter there at LineStar app and at LineStar NFL. Most importantly, download the app in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Everything you need in the palm of your hands to build your winning DFS lineups. We have made it to championship weekend, the Final Four. It is go time to see who goes to the Super Bowl in LA in a couple weeks. We're going to break it down with your picks and bets as usual on the show. You can find me on Twitter at BDentric and my co-host as always on Twitter at Bogman Sports. Scott Bogman, how we doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. We got a couple good sets of games here, so I'm pumped for championship weekend. Always, look, the expectations have to be low, right? After what we got last week, we can't have more games like that, right? But look, these are two evenly matched games that should be a lot of fun to watch, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, two evenly matched games, teams that played each other this past year. Lots of good storylines, as one could say, and lots of fun ways where they could go. So let's just get right at it here. AFC Championship game, Bengals at the Chiefs, a rematch that earlier in the year the Bengals won in Cincinnati, but this time the Chiefs are minus 7-point favorites. Full touchdown, over under 54.5. What do you got in this one, Boggs?
I mean, I think this line, it speaks to experience, right? Because this is the fourth year in a row that the Chiefs have been in the AFC Championship, and the first time the Bengals have been since 1988. So that is, to me, it speaks to the experience. That's why it's a full touchdown, because I don't think anyone walked into this game thinking that the Chiefs are a full touchdown better in the spread. I think, maybe we think that the Chiefs are the better team, even though Cincinnati won. But that's a big spread. So 7 points is big. I think I'm still going to take Kansas City in this one. And I've been rolling with Cincy. I took them on the money line last week. And look, I hate their guts, but I'll let them win me money. So, but I think Kansas City at home with the way Patrick Mahomes has been playing. And I said that after, to me, it really looked like he flipped a switch after, the Steelers' first quarter of shutting them down. And he turned it on against Buffalo, too. The guy led them to a field goal with 13 seconds left on the clock. Like, this is legendary status that we're going in here. Joe Burrow can get himself into legendary status by winning this game on the road against Kansas City and beating the Chiefs twice to get to the Super Bowl. And they are a team playing with an enormous amount of confidence. And, I listen to a lot of shows and, maybe we did this too, Bub. Maybe we didn't give Cincinnati enough credit for winning the game. I do still think it was more Tennessee losing that game than Cincinnati winning it. But Cincinnati came up with the plays when they had to have them.
Yep. And their defense showed up.
And it's good. It's a very good defense. So if Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard can run down Patrick Mahomes, they're going to have a chance, and more than a chance. They'll probably win the game. If they get to Mahomes 6-7 times, then yeah, they're going to win this game. I just don't see that happening. Mahomes just been too elusive. He was great last week against Buffalo. He was great in the second half and second quarter against Pittsburgh. I just don't know that there's a lot stopping him right now. So I am going to take the Chiefs, but when we saw Josh Allen carve their defense up last week and we saw Joe Burrow, that matchup of Tre'Davious Ward and Jamar Chase was just a killer. Chase had more receiving yards than Mahomes had passing yards in that last game. So I think the over is the obvious play here, the better play, but I am going to take the Chiefs and lay the points. I just think the experience and the way Mahomes is playing right now is going to be too much for anybody.
It's tough because, I agree that the experience is key, but we said about Burrow time and time again, the dude just won a national championship a few years ago.
He definitely has big stage experience.
Yeah, big stage experience. When people kept counting LSU out, he kept getting it done. People keep counting the Bengals out, he keeps getting it done. He's proved the doubters wrong. He smoked a lot of cigars in that locker room. So, eventually you're going to take your L's. It's just the way life goes. You can't be perfect all the time, but it's tough to just and I'm not saying you're doing it, but you hear the narrative a lot of places like, well, they haven't been here before. It's like, yeah, they might not have been in the AFC title game in Kansas City, which is a big thing, but they've been on some big stages. And he said it, and people keep giving him a hard time about it, that every SEC stadium he basically plays in is louder than the NFL stadium. So he's used to
and he's
the
already done
atmosphere.
stuff. 30-year streak of not winning a playoff game, gone. Never winning a road playoff game, gone. Never winning a road AFC championship. We'll see. I mean, Burrow is cementing his status. I mean, we know Mahomes is legendary. He's already done it. He's been there. Burrow, and just looking at the quarterbacks in the AFC,
it's crazy.
It's just
crazy.
It's an enormous amount. So he is absolutely outstanding. And as much as I don't like Bengals fans, the Bengals team is fantastic.
Yeah, they're a great team, and the defense is money. We talked about it last week, even on the DFS show, that like Bengals and Titans defenses were cheap. Go take advantage of it, and they both paid off. The Bengals could do it again. We saw what pressure can do to Mahomes, and he avoided it last week, like you said. But man, Buffalo was doing Houdini stuff. There was times when he should have just been done, and it's like, can he do that again? Like we've seen him do it, but it just takes one of those to turn into a sack that could change the entire situation of that drive.
He'll put the ball up for grabs. Mahomes will do that every once in a while. So Cincinnati took advantage of that against Tannehill.
The first time against Tannehill, they got him for 3 picks, and Mahomes got his against Cincinnati the first go round, but it's they got a book on him, and the Chiefs have a book on the Bengals. That's the fun part about this. Now, where do you go for phase 2? And there's a lot of questions to be made there. One stat I saw earlier this week, which is tremendous, and it makes sense thinking even back to this last week, is you mentioned Chase's yards. He's a yak machine, and he did it last week against Tennessee. But in that game against Kansas City, I believe he had more yards yak than like Kelsey and Hill receiving yards combined or something that game. That's the game. That's gonna be like he had like 250 something receiving yards. It was nuts. But we saw it against Tennessee. It was a lot of kind of short passes out in the flats and let him go run, and he's got that speed and a block or two gone. Not Tyreek Hill speed, but similar. So we got to kind of think about that kind of stuff when they're trying to guard him and double team him and all that kind of good stuff. I want to take the Bengals so bad. I really, really do, because I believe in Joey Burrow, but I'm going Chiefs. I'm going Chiefs in this one, because Mahomes at home, I think there's a lot to be said about this one. And it's just going to take, like, I love Joey Burrow, but if somehow a mistake or two happens and, Mahomes up 14, how does Burrow and the Bengals respond to that? Right. That's where it gets fun. They haven't been in that situation. They've been in tough games. They haven't been in that situation yet. The comeback like that deal. So I'm going to take the Bengals.
Oh, you're taking the Chiefs.
Chiefs. Sorry, I'm taking the Chiefs. Yeah. Taking the Chiefs. And man, the over seems too easy. It does
feel a little trappy, right?
Yeah. I'm going to take the under. If I believe, if I was going to take the Bengals, I'd take the over. I think it's a shootout. I'm going to take the Chiefs, and it means that the Bengals kind of get slowed down. We'll see. My DFS idea is a totally different idea than my picks. I'm going to tell you that right now, because I'm going to stack the snot out of the Bengals. But I'm going to take the Chiefs in the under in this one. And, it's going to be a wild one. I'm going to be fading the public, folks. Let's have some fun. All right. The nightcap, though, the NFC Championship game, Rams hosting the Niners, part 3. Rams minus 3.5, over under 46.
Look, man, this one is obviously tougher. Like you said, the 3.5 is the line here. I don't know. Look, I faded the Rams 2 weeks in a row, and it obviously has not worked, right? So we saw them back in, but that first half against Tampa Bay, I mean, that was Matt Stafford's legacy right there. I mean, he was outstanding. Cooper Kupp with the 2 big catches at the end was a ton of fun. This is a different team than the team that the Niners beat, is the point I'm trying to make. The Niners come in here a little beat up too. Trent Williams, questionable. We didn't even mention Tyrann Mathieu, still in concussion protocol for the Chiefs. So there are some injuries in this game, in both these games, that are going to be significant. I don't think that losing Williams is akin to losing Tristan Wirfs for Tampa Bay last week, and the Rams really took advantage of that, because you're not going down. McKivitz is fine. He played okay. So you're not going down to Wells, who gave up like 6 pressures or whatever it was to this team. So I think it's less impactful, but still impactful, of course. So that's a big factor in this game. But we've seen Ramsey get cooked a couple times. Mike Evans beat him. This is a beatable team. They let the Bucs climb all the way back in. whatever type of voodoo magic the Niners have going on, because I feel like they should have lost to Dallas when Jimmy G threw that pick. They should have lost. They got out of Green Bay with a win in the 0 degrees, and they showed that graphic before the game. Jimmy G's coldest game ever was he said it was in South Dakota State, and it was 32, and this game was 0. They didn't score and they still won. So they have some weird magic. But to me, the strength here is this Niners defense. This Niners defense has been outstanding in the playoffs here, and I expect them to keep it going. And I know Debo was a little nicked up coming out of there. Eli Mitchell has had injury stuff this season too, but I don't know, man. I have to take the points here. I think you're going to see a mainly Niners crowd in LA too. I know that the Rams are trying to curb that by, did you see the whole, the zip code thing? You couldn't buy it if you were in a Northern California zip code and all that stuff, which is just stupid. But
sell your tickets then. You want an empty house? Is that what you want?
Right. I'm going to take the Niners, and because of the way both of these defenses are playing, I'm also going to take the under 46. I just think this is a lower scoring, 24-17, 2017, something like that type of a game. I'm more confident, I think, on the under than I am on the Niners, though. But this should be a really fun one, Bub. What do you got?
It should be a really, really fun one. I could literally, you could see it with both these games. But I could see this one going a ton of different directions.
Right.
Because it's like,
it really depends on what Stafford shows up.
Bingo. Because we just saw these guys in week 18, and given, the Niners had to win. The Rams kind of did their thing. The Rams were up big early, 51 combined points in that game. Niners won 27-24, not too far removed. At that time, we thought the Niners defense was legit. Rams moved the ball just fine. The Rams seem to be clicking even more. You got no OBJ involved. You got Higbee had a big game that week. You got Von Miller showing up on the defensive side like a madman. Now you got Weddle back, and take that with whatever grain of salt you want. But it's just like, it's tough to beat a team 3 times in the same season. And you've heard it a million times. Niners are 6-0 the last 6 against the Rams. Well, 4 of those are against Jared Goff, folks. So it's like, take a breather there for a second.
Different teams. Yeah, I don't trends.
If you want to focus on this year, I can listen. But after this, we're gonna have a little bit more of an issue.
Trends are weird though, because the Colts haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014. We've seen completely different Colts teams, right?
Every time.
So that, I mean, trends aren't that important, especially when they stretch over different teams and years and years. But there is some voodoo to some of those. I don't know that that's one of them though.
Yeah, this one's tough. And if it's like a Niners house, which it should be, because I know there's people on Twitter like Joe Staley and stuff that are having people in Southern California buy them. He buys them from them, and he's hooking up Niners fans. Like, there's all kinds of stuff going on. They're like, Frank Gore got involved. Like, past Niners are getting involved to fill this house up. It's pretty wild to see how it takes place. Man, I deep down inside, I feel like the Niners win, but I'm taking the Rams in this game.
Okay.
I think the Rams get a big bounce back here. I love what we saw from Stafford last week. Most importantly, I love those 2 passes to Cooper Kupp on the last drive. I think that's a confidence barrier he just broke through in a big way. That was like, I threw balls on a dime when they had to be made to beat Tom Brady in his house. That's a big time moment. So
huge moment. Yeah.
And it's one of those, like we saw in week 18 when the Rams got up big. Jimmy G still made a few mistakes, but he threw him back in the game. I don't remember Von Miller being a big of an issue that game, which he will be this time. Like, things like that. And do you really want to trust Jimmy G to do it again? I don't. I really don't. Remember they're winning games because he has 0 touchdowns and 2 picks. Like, you don't want him throwing that much. That's the name of the game here. I'm going Rams in this one, but I'm going the over. I think we get a lot more of a week 18 version where we see points put on the board. Both teams get into the mid to high 20s, maybe sneak into the 30s. I like this one as a sneaky offensive game. Give me the Rams. Give me the over. I could see both these games going completely different than I picked, like easily. Like
well, we're only the same on one pick. The only thing we picked the same was the Chiefs. Yeah, that's it. So you got the Chiefs and Rams in the Super Bowl. I've got the Chiefs and the Niners.
So now we know the Bengals cover. That's good,
right? Probably be the Bengals and Rams in the Super Bowl.
So that it's a crapshoot. But it's going to be a fun one, Boggs. I'm looking forward to it. It should be some great football on Sunday. And hopefully it's great. Like we said last week, it's not going to live up to last week.
It can't be as good as last week, but we'll keep
them competitive. Just keep them competitive. I just don't want blowouts. Competitive, and I'm good. Let's make it happen. But for more to come, keep listening to Pre-Snap, as we'll be back with you guys tomorrow with your DFS preview for the 2-game Sunday slate. Download the app in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store to get all of the tips and tricks to build your lineups for NFL. You got golf, you got UFC, you got basketball, you got it all, hockey, all in the palm of your hands. So go check all that good stuff out. But for now, check out Bogman on Twitter at Bogman Sports. I'm at BD Entrick. We'll catch you guys next time.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Pre-Snap Podcast, presented by LineStar app. Please like, comment, subscribe, and rate for good karma